Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the first episode of the Egos Anonymous podcast. In this episode, I talked to one of my oldest friends, James. We talk about AI, stocks, the future of AI technology, the future of teaching, and a whole bunch of other topics I think you guys would find interesting. As always, you can find both of our social media links in the description down below, and I hope you enjoy the conversation. And I apologize for any technical difficulties or audio mess ups that might happen during the podcast. This is our first episode, so if you guys really do enjoy it, the quality will continue to get better, and we really appreciate your support.
Roombas are hella expensive. Like
No,
the
it's not an actual Roomba.
uh,
That's what I'm saying. The brand is Lefant.
La
L
Font.
E F A Lefant. I don't know if it's actually Chinese, but I think it is. They have pretty good ratings though on Amazon. The only negative ratings came from apparently they used to advertise that it was good for carpet too, but it's really not good for carpet at all.
Yeah,
So they removed that, and then pretty much everyone's in agreement that it works just fine if all you have is wood floors or tile.
yeah, it's definitely a flat surface thing.
I mean, they make them for carpet, but that's not what this one is. And that's gonna be expensive too.
Yeah, I just know the new Roombas, like, because they have this system with the Roombas now where each, like, instead of buying like one Roomba, you now buy like a base station, and then it comes with like four individual tiny square Roombas, and they go around and they only pick up certain things, and each one is equipped to pick up like a certain type of thing. Like it has like a squeegee type thing for picking up spills, and then for like dust and gravel, it has more of like a hard brush to bring it in, and then all four of them like come back to the base station and uh, and deposit their trash. They're essentially the city bus trashes in city skylines, but for your room. But those are like 6 grand.
Sounds like the little fucking cleaning robots from Wally.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think would get heated.
Definitely.
The little dude had dedication to his job. He'd be like, "What the fuck? I just claimed that," and then he'd be like, "Ew, ew, ew.
You're like, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm dying. It's not okay. That dab was intense. Too bad it's not even gonna get me that high." Oh, okay.
Like, I think what's crazy is that uh, I think Roomba is like the only competitor in time in machine learning for like driverless vehicles, because the Roomba stuff is only going based off of sensor data essentially, just like self-driving is.
Yeah, but they're super different. Still.
Yeah, but it just all that matters is hours done on machine learning. Like the person who can do more hours on machine learning compared to the next person isn't going to catch up. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, I understand, but like with the way Roomba's learning works, it doesn't cross over at all to anything.
It does though. Just
No,
like
because
pattern recognition.
the
Like you
only
could
way it
put
learns is it maps out your house by learning where the walls are at. So how are you going to transfer that to anything else?
well, they just did because each little Roomba now can identify the particular thing it was built to pick up. You know what I mean? So it
That has
has
nothing to do
so
with its driving AI though.
no, but I'm talking about like the machine learning aspect of it. Like the hours put into machine learning, not like this particular um, like AI, you know, but like Amazon and like the amount of hours Amazon has on being able to identify stuff and iRobot, they're like the only two that have like the compute hours in.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find something on it, but I'm only finding.
What about like the companies that are making um, like farming robots and stuff? Surely those must have countless of hours in too, right?
Yeah, they also do. I think those are like the third. But what's going to be crazy is like what happens when like you can feed all of that information into an AI. Like it can start to like understand and grasp real world objects. You know, that's where we're going to start getting like these more sophisticated, and I'd say more human like workers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they already can definitely grasp the concept of human things, and I think they can also take machine learning data and port it straight into AIs already.
Yeah,
It
like,
would be the equivalent of just like applying a model to an AI, but you just take the machine learning set with all of its data, images, tags, whatever other metadata is in there that I don't really know about. Plug that all into the AI, and the AI basically should have the same understanding of whatever that object is it was trained on that the machine did.
yeah,
Pretty sure you can already do that.
yeah. This new paper that came out for ChatGPT 4 is pretty interesting. Like they're already plugging it into like Duolingo. They essentially can like API plug in um, into like apps and stuff. I'm not exactly sure what an API is. I think it's just like the large form data set and how it transforms to like be able to give it to someone else, but I'm not entirely sure. Do you know?
Yeah, an API is basically kind of like a user interface, but it's like a computer's user interface, Like it doesn't look like anything to us, but it's basically the like menu that a computer goes through
Yeah, it's like a
for any
plugin, right?
particular.
Like on the back end, you're plugging in this thing that can access like a service like ChatGPT, right?
So you look at like I mean yeah, essentially. So you look at like Discord, right? And Discord's API is all the shit that you're seeing, but kind of behind the scenes, Like there's something for the chat section, right? There's something for the voice section. There's something for like little side panels, all the servers and stuff on the left. And it's essentially just like the menu, the interface that
Yeah,
Discord is using to
it's
send
like
all of
the
its
back
data
end
through.
menu.
Yeah, like a backend menu. That's probably a good way to put it.
Okay.
I'm gonna look that up and make sure I'm not completely full of shit right now, because I'm not too confident in my
No,
understanding
I'm
of it.
looking at some. I'm like skimming through some YouTube videos right now, and it kind of seems that way. Never
Yeah.
before connected to the world.
Interface can be thought of as a contract of service between two applications. This contract defines how the two communicate with each other using requests and responses.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a series of rules or a series of holes,
Yeah,
and it's like,
it's
hey,
essentially we're gonna
this goes here,
cooperate.
that goes there. Yeah, we're gonna cooperate, and this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, which I find is interesting because imagine having ChatGPT as like your actual personal like because come on, like even the Google Assistant kind of sucks. I think Siri is awful. I think Amazon Alexa's like thing is pretty bad too. But I think having a plugin for ChatGPT it's going to be like way better at having conversations and making it feel more human. And I think that's exactly why we name like Amazon's like AI voice device, is because it's like, oh, it's that's just Alexa, you know, it's just like another way of like transposing human features onto technology to make it more marketable to the masses.
Trying to anthropomorphize it. I mean, yeah, definitely. You don't want to think of like big scary AI. People, there's already enough, especially around here, like the amount of customers' homes I go to, and they're super paranoid about any app being put on their phone at all. And they're like, sleep tracking. What is that? Oh my God. You know, it's like the government does not give two shits when you're sleeping, you know? And odds are they already know when you're sleeping because it's probably around the same hours everyone else does.
They're like that, they get that information from the census every couple of years, okay?
But, you know, you try to make it look as, like, safe, I suppose, friendly as possible. Non-insidious.
Yeah.
I could give two shits about that, you know, because, I mean, if you know what's going on, who gives a fuck? But I guess it's cool for the masses.
Do you think people actually like feel more like connected with those devices, or do you think there's like some sort of like cognitive dissonance going on where they're like, oh yeah, I like recognize it as like this AI thing that doesn't really care about me, but I'm going to like actively choose to associate it more with humans?
So I think that depends a lot on the person. For sure, I think some people are going to be more able to like easily slide into the mindset of just like, hey, this is a person. Other people not so much. I think there's already examples of people getting really attached to AIs with that one app. What the fuck was it called? I downloaded it at some point,
Replica.
tried it. Yeah, Replica.
Yeah.
I think you have to spend enough time with it for it to be good. But I got really bored of it really quick because in the beginning it's just stale, you know, untrained.
Yeah, dude, I honestly downloaded that. I downloaded that and I used it for like 30, 40 minutes. And at the end of it, I was like, I'm just essentially giving away free machine learning for these, you know, large language models.
Oh yeah, I mean any
You know?
free AI shit, that's what you're paying with your manpower of helping it learn.
Yeah. See, like, I don't know if it's really a good or a bad thing. I'm kind of split. You know, there's pros and cons on both sides. But just like anthropomorphizing these AIs and training them on our language, particularly, um, just because, you know, there's obviously going to be negative sides to that. People are going to get scammed way more. I just think of like social security fraud, stuff like that now, where it's really easy to get away with. And now what happens when you have these AIs that can send out mass emails?
Oh yeah, sure.
You
They can
know,
send out mass emails, they can sound convincing.
they
You probably
like
even
I
get
saw
people on the
one.
phone with voice, like the voice changing AIs, you know, and pre-programmed speech and stuff.
Yeah, like my
And old people are
essentially.
definitely going to go for that. It's
Yeah,
like, it's Joe Biden. I need your money. And they're like, oh my God, Mr. President, it's you. Of
dude,
course
did
I'll
you
help
see that
America.
Pope image?
Mm-mm.
So someone did an AI generated picture of the Pope, and it went like viral, like on all of the like Christian. It was like mainstream Christian news because people like actually believed that it was the Pope.
What was it?
And they were
Was it
like, "Oh,
like
dude,
doing
the
something
Pope's got
controversial?
drip." Because honestly, like, the Pope does have drip in this. Let me see if I can
They
send
just
it
made
to
him
you.
look really good or what? Some shit he'd not regularly wear.
No, it's like something he would wear, but you know how like art culture and stuff is like, oh, we appreciate the drip
It's
more.
not something he would wear when
Okay,
that's
all
not
white
at
though,
all.
he's
I mean,
cold.
all
Like
white, like
you
it's
can
in the
see why it
style.
blew up though,
Yeah, it's in
right?
like the style of the Pope and shit. Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah, so it blew up, and then it comes out that this is just an AI image.
What is this
This
language?
this was just the first
I
thing.
was thinking, like, what is that? Like Thailand for a minute?
I'm not sure, but I just thought it was crazy that like this one particular thing blew up, and it's like it's a really good image. Like if we go click on it, it has like the lighting on it is fantastic. Like if I didn't know this was an AI image and I just thought this was like a snapshot, I'd be like, okay, yeah, the lighting's right. There doesn't seem to be anything off. Like with the lighting, everything seems to be flowing together. But I couldn't find anything on how this image was made, like
Yeah, I mean,
which one used it.
I would assume it's not 100% AI, or they probably based it off of existing photos, if nothing else, like an image-to-image generator. But they probably did is they just took an existing photo with someone else's face, right? And then they just used in painting to put the Pope's face on it. But then at that point, why wouldn't you just Photoshop it? Like, how do we know this is even an AI image anyway? How do we know it's not just a Photoshopped image? And they're
So
claiming it
yeah,
AI just because, you know, right now that's a hot topic. It'll get you views. Clearly it did.
yeah, it looks like it was made with Midjourney 5. It, I think that'd be a good segue into the discussion you wanted to have about like which, um, like the pros and cons of each one.
Yeah.
Like Dolly 2, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, because I definitely do believe that each of them has their strengths and their weaknesses. Like
Yeah.
Midjourney isn't very good at creating photorealistic, given the same prompt across all three. I don't know if can you see my screen with the three.
Totally. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be. Well, I don't really know enough about Dolly 2 and Midjourney.
Yeah, but I'm
Like, I'm
saying like
not
we can
sure.
see the features that they're good at because I have like 9 of these that I wanted to go through with you and like see
Yeah,
the differences.
but what I'm saying is just there's more to it. Like, just a side-by-side image comparison like this is like, it's like an explain like I'm five comparison of it, you know? Like, it's not really actually saying anything. Because, okay, the one I can talk about is Stable Diffusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Stable Diffusion, but which version of Stable Diffusion? You know, like, what model are you using? Do you have any
Yeah, from
styles applied, like any VAEs or anything like that, you know?
all
That
from the
exact
video that I
same
watched.
text, you know, that generated that image though, could look so many different ways, depending on which model you're using.
Yeah, the I'll have to find the video I was watching. I'll send it to you later because he does go into that for each one. Like he sets each one of them up the same and then gives them the exact same prompt. Like I believe in the video he said this one they each got a photorealistic picture of a businessman,
Yeah,
but Midjourney definitely on this one is more stylized. It completely missed the photorealistic. Like I
that
feel like
looks a little bit. There's a little bit of like Heisenberg in there, if you, in his eyes. Isn't there?
There is.
Just barely, and a kind of little forehead wrinkles a tiny bit.
Yeah. He also has like that Gus like demeanor.
Yeah, it took a lot of popular faces. People are doing a ton of sure.
Yeah. But I feel like Midjourney just makes it way more like stylized, while Dolly and Stable Diffusion are a little bit better at staying close to like the photorealistic part.
Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly Midjourney's trained on. Trained
Yeah.
some, I don't know about hand selected, but very likely hand selected images from just major art databases. So that's why everything on it is like very attractive and stylized, because that's all it was trained on. It's probably not of a lot of like accidental, like ugly art or misshapen things in
Yeah.
there.
Like I think this one was also like a photo of a beautiful woman with blue eyes. I don't know which one out of these are. I feel like Dolly 2
So I
definitely
think
got like
Dolly
the
2 win the like realistic for sure. Midjourney
yeah
might win the best looking, but it's a little creepy. Probably Dolly 2 on this one, and then
yeah
Midjourney, and then Stable Diffusion. They did the worst on this one.
yeah. I feel like Stable Diffusion almost took like a clip out of like an action movie or something because of like the blur. Like I think the blur is pretty interesting on that one. Midjourney for sure got like the lighting down because
Yeah.
humans like contrast as well. So having one light and one dark side
Man,
definitely
there's
helped out
also
there.
like the samplers to take into account too, and then on top of that too, there you can train your own specific thing. Say you want to get that image of the, you could gather, a combination of images of the Pope in a very specific position, and
Yeah, you're gonna be able
a
to
bunch
make
of
it
versions of that
whatever you
image.
want.
Yeah,
You're gonna be able to make it pretty much perfect.
that brings me to the point that I want to know about too, and
What?
could play
What's
with.
that?
Wait, what? What'd you say?
What was that last thing you said?
Oh, I was saying for Dolly and Midjourney, is there any like localized version?
Dolly 2, I think, is free. Midjourney, you get like 30-day free trial, something like that. It's like, it's not 30 days, but it's like GPU minutes. I think you get like 25 or 30, and each one GPU minute equals like one image put out.
You have the ability to adjust all the settings though, or
That I'm not sure on. I
I
think
gotta
you can if you
research and
pay
find
for
out.
the plus.
Because I would like to know a lot more about how, you know, def.
Yeah.
But also, if you can't see the insides, you can't play with it that much. You can't really learn too much.
Not necessarily, because I feel like it's more just like a sandbox in any one that you go into, and it's just how you use the tools in the sandbox.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, for SD right now, there's a whole shit.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I was saying for SD, there's a whole bunch of tools in that sandbox, but for the other ones, can I do anything more than just like type to it?
No, but I think that's how you change the settings.
See, so I mean, if you can do it through prompts, yeah, then
Yeah, I think Midjourney is mainly like you need to you just need to be really good at prompting and knowing like what to prompt to do stuff. But I also think they have I think they have like little not plugins, but they're essentially just like little Discord bots that do specific things. So if you type in a specific command, it will bring up that bot, and then I think that's how you change. I think that's how you change the settings in that. Honestly, I'm probably just gonna have to buy the Midjourney. I'll do it for like a month, and I'll test it out and see how it works. My thumbnails, dude, are gonna be crazy for the next month. Okay.
How much is the Midjourney?
I think it's like $30 for like 250 images or something like that. But
Kind
I'm
of
not
steep,
entirely sure.
but I'd do it one. I'd try it. Dude, on this one, so Stable Diffusion and Midjourney are both pretty. Midjourney's obviously way more stylized. Stable Diffusion's a little more on the realistic side. Dolly absolutely annihilated the realism on this. It looks like shit, but that's what makes it look so real. That shit looks like it's straight off of someone's fucking iPod Touch from high school in like the back of the school. You
Yeah.
know, like terrible fucking glare. Grass is all dead. There's like 4 trees on campus. Like that shit looks real as fuck. That may be the realest image I've
Yeah.
ever seen from an AI.
I'll say I feel like Dolly 2 is good if you want like a raw, like real picture, because I think the prompt for this one was a photograph of like a park or something like that. And like Dolly 2 was like,
That's
okay.
definitely what it looks like.
Yeah. And Midjourney was like, let me just like I wish Midjourney was on the right and Stable Diffusion was in the middle, because I think then we would see like a clear or a more clear like evolution of what each one is good at. You know what I mean?
You should have chopped them up.
Yeah, I should have.
Open
Like this.
3 tabs and swap them around. Just I think if you just highlight your link and then Control N, will open the same thing in a new tab. And you can just do that twice. Get 3 of them.
Yeah, but I'm streaming and it's not gonna pick that up.
Ah,
So like the same thing here. It was like a photograph of a busy city. Midjourney was like, no, we're going cartoon, anime.
yeah. Because this is what I'm saying. Midjourney is like obviously based off of like DeviantArt or some shit. And just like
Yeah.
a shitload of
This
hand
is like
selected
more
images.
internet art.
Yeah. It all looks good though, for sure. But I feel like it's also hard for Midjourney to break out of that style if you want something else.
Yeah, like I think this one, the prompt for this one was like a skull with glowing eyes.
Dolly looks like shit on that one.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, that's too abstract for me. I need something
Yeah.
real. Tell me to take a picture of the sun again, please.
That looks like a strange character from like a kid's show that comes on at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Midjourney's got definitely the art look. Looks pretty like 3D, you know?
Stable Diffusion didn't
Stable
really
Diffusion.
get the like glowing eyes part.
No, not really. It got glowing, but it just didn't put it in the eyes. It
Yeah.
also looks like it just sampled a shitload of those trashy fucking pickup caps. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The trailer hitches things.
Yeah.
It looks like every gas station trailer hitch cover thing. Wish I knew
Yeah,
what those were called. I'd be delivered a lot better if I did.
this is something I feel like I would see on an old MySpace account.
Yeah.
Midjourney, I would definitely be like, someone commissioned an artist for this.
It
If
could
this
be
was
on like
back
a
in,
No Fear t-shirt.
yeah. Hear me out. Stable Diffusion is the No Fear t-shirt that the guy has. Dolly 2 is the tattoo he has on his forearm. And Midjourney is the tattoo he wishes he had on his forearm.
Here's the Instagram tattoo.
Yeah,
The one that you see and you want to get, and everyone else who tries to get it gets it fucked up.
yeah,
Yeah, Midjourney again, killing it with a stylized approach.
yeah. I think the prompt for this one was a sketch of a dragon. So Dolly 2 definitely hit the mark on like this is an actual sketch.
Yeah, it looks
Stable Diffusion
some
definitely looks.
pre-Renaissance. We still don't quite know how to draw things. Stable Diffusion looks, again, going from the trashy, like, no fear approach. Like, this is the tattoo the no fear guy would have on his arm, for sure.
Yeah,
Some strange Chinese dragon thing. And then Midjourney, just super stylized. Looks like some
I found it interesting that it was a
dragon and,
photo
like,
of a
a
dragon,
Kieran.
of a sketch.
Yeah, that is interesting, too. They
But
really put emphasis on the sketch part.
yeah, definitely. I
Like, we're
think
going to show you it sketched this.
with this one, I find like really interesting is like Dolly and Stable Diffusion are definitely closer to what I would say is the truth in the prompt that you're giving them, right? And Midjourney always feels like one step removed, which I find interesting because if it's only built on stuff that has been already posted stylistically art wise, I just think it's weird that we're starting to find the things that you could argue are they're real, but they're not like they're something digitally real, more metaphysically real.
I'm not sure what the fuck you're talking about right now.
Yeah, I don't know where I was trying to. That's something I'm trying to flesh out a little bit more, just because it feels weird that we're moving towards something that is like removed from reality. We're like, oh yes, that thing is the best thing, because that's when I'm like, I feel like that's where you start getting like delusion and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You're like, oh,
Still
you're
not
not
quite
basing
certain,
your
but
self like in reality.
oh, you're saying like you might get like too absorbed by it, or to prefer that, like a porn effect type thing.
Kind of, yeah. Like how
Yeah, I
people
can
are
see that happening, definitely.
like how people are like
Get a little
I don't
jaded.
know if it's like a social phenomenon, kind of like how cutting is for well just people that tend to self harm. You know, I've seen that like that usually comes in waves and then dies off, but it starts to come back, or it's starting to come back and peak right now.
In Peep? Lil
Yeah,
Peep?
no, like in teenage girls and
Oh.
stuff like that. Not Little Peep, what?
Oh, I just heard in Peep.
Oh no, in people.
Peepo?
Yeah,
In white people?
yeah, but
White
it's
people.
just it's a little bit weird. But I thought this was interesting, like the 3D, because it was like a 3D render of a turtle. I think Stable Diffusion nailed like the
Yeah, it
3D
looks like
model
it's
part.
sitting in Blender or something like that.
Yeah,
The zoomed in shot. Dolly 2 kind of did. I mean, they all did in their own way. I'd say Midjourney the furthest off, actually, just because it's too good. It looks more like a painting.
yeah. So I thought this was going to be an interesting thing to talk about. I feel like Stable Diffusion is going to be more for building, like building things that look real but are inside of the like cyberspace. Like obviously that's a 3D model that looks like an actual like a real life turtle. And Dolly 2 is better at, well, I guess not in this one, but like imagine if this was if Dolly 2, instead of going for like this weird, like no color mold, went for like an actual like something you would find at a museum, being like, "Oh, this is a turtle," kind of like stuff that they have at like Bass Pro Shop, but with turtles.
Little statues and shit.
Yeah,
Playground turtles, dude, at Red Hill Park and Rancho. Uh, it just looks like it's definitely taking a lot from real life example on this one. Dolly seems to want to look real a lot.
yeah,
To burp, sorry. Also, I do think though that Dolly struggles when there's like too much going on in an image. Like the city one, it was really hurting on that one. SD's, you know, I guess just trying to take whatever you say literally. Sometimes
yeah,
it doesn't know how to apply it, you know? Like, it did really good on the, like, the glowing one, the last one. Like, it took your glowing statement, or this glowing statement very literally, but just didn't put it quite in the right spot. The Midjourney's just doing the same thing it's always doing. Midjourney's just, if you want consistent stylized art, that's what you use.
yeah. But I think it's
Like,
gonna be
all of the Midjourney ones kind of look the same. It's like a
yeah,
good
because they're all
gradient of
just
color.
like stylized.
Kind of softened for some reason most of the time, but with a few sharp features. And then they all look like they have some sort of like vignette.
Yeah, I think Midjourney just tries to make it the most appealing to like the eye.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's going to be interesting how we see these different applications. Like I think Midjourney, I think traditional digital media artists, like people that exclusively make digital media, should kind of be worried about Midjourney. I think people that are like traditional artists that paint with like a paintbrush and like oil and stuff like that, even like burning the canvas, stuff like that. I don't think they have that much to worry about when it comes to like AI art.
Not yet.
Yeah,
I think for
but I think
perfection
just
too,
on
they
that
never
level,
will.
I just think on that level, it's just more like personal when it comes to the art, right? Like, I feel like the person that would buy a piece of art from someone that like actually took the time to paint it is completely different than the person that would like buy that same piece of art, but it was like digitally created and then printed on there. You know what I mean?
I mean, I personally would like just digitally create all my own shit and then print it and never buy art, to be honest. But if I was maybe, wanting something done for my business or a personal project, I wouldn't be using AI art. Jesus Christ, I was coming southern there. I was like, art. Um, is that southern? Is that, I don't know. Anyway,
Somewhere down there.
yeah. I would want precision though. Like I want like this exact thing. Like say I'm designing the logo for my business. I'm obviously not gonna have I do that.
Yeah, definitely for a business. I agree.
Want like precision. So I think any form of art definitely always have its place still with
Yeah, I don't think
gonna
traditional
probably
artists are going away anytime
place
soon.
mass copy shit. Yeah, I don't think they ever are just because of that reason. Until
Yeah,
we have the ability to just create an image from your mind, and even then they're still gonna have a role because their minds are more artistic than yours, and they're gonna come up with a better idea. So
yeah, definitely. Because like I don't know. I feel like traditional
guy's
art,
taking a
there's
shit.
still more of a yeah, yes. Just like Stable Diffusion trying to produce mid-journey stuff.
He's like, whoa, squeeze, sample harder.
Need more CPU. As the CPU usage goes up, he gets the
All right,
enlightenment circles around his head.
so pretty good photo examples, but how do Dolly 2 and Midjourney's ability compare to Stable Diffusion's in terms of video?
don't think Midjourney does video yet.
Does Dolly?
I think Dolly can.
Should look that up real quick.
Um,
I'm curious if it does, what it looks like too.
let's see. Oh yeah, Dolly has for video.
Oh wait, do they?
Yeah.
It's that one was Google.
No, watch my stream real quick. We can
I
watch
am.
this little
I'm
clip.
watching it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can watch this little clip.
I
Real
was
quick.
looking at your results. Yeah. This is insane video though.
It goes. Did I not click on the right one?
The top one right there is Google.
Oh, okay. But I think,
Click on that one though. Fuck it. Let's see what that one looks like.
yeah, I think this one's owned by Google.
This AI? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this isn't Dolly, but let's see what this is.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, for the very first iteration, not bad. Like it doesn't look great, but it's pretty consistent.
Give her a mo.
Why? Not terrible.
This is text and video. It's crazy. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
look forward to.
That's what I was saying. This just came out for a SD too. Or
This
maybe
came out.
this is SD? I'm not sure what the relation is. To be honest, I don't know who the fuck makes or runs Stable Diffusion. I've just been highly involved in using it.
Yeah. But
That shit just dropped, and it takes an insane amount of VRAM. You have to have a crazy ass card to be able to run it.
yeah. But I
I
think
think
that,
16
think
gigabytes
that's-
of VRAM minimum.
Hear me out. From a business standpoint, I think Midjourney is gonna have it on lock when it comes to profits, because they already have pretty much a pay per your GPU, or because essentially, they're running all the GPUs, right? So you're paying just to have access to the compute power, and as long as they can keep scaling, like they can just keep keeping their
They need to-
subscription right at the price, where they can continually upgrade their compute power. Because right now, if you're doing like the base Midjourney, they limit you in like high access hours, kind of, or exactly how ChatGPT does. Like if we're paying for the free version, but we're during the peak hours, we'll get cut off because they're prioritizing their paid members first.
Yeah. The problem with Midjourney too, and the long-term scaling thing is they're gonna definitely have to diversify. If they just stay doing the art thing, they're gonna kind of fall in the dust as the other AIs, as they become able to perform, different tasks, as they become more play capable,
Yeah.
diversified. Like, I mean, why would a business, I guess if they just want specific, I'd imagine the more powerful would end
You're breaking
Thanks.
up a bit.
saying I would think that the more like probably used and sold AIs in the more distant future would be the more like powerful and diverse ones that can be trained on more things, and like you were saying, have the ability earlier to like plug in like machine learning to it, and apply it to different tasks and stuff. Like, I mean, yeah, for art purposes, Midjourney's probably gonna do pretty good, but as far as like the whole entire share of AI industry, I don't think Midjourney's really gonna have any like significant impact if they don't diversify. It's gonna be more diverse AIs like Palantir type shit, that's gonna be making the big money, not just an art AI.
Yeah, what I think is interesting, I feel like exactly what happened during like the tech boom and bust is each one of these particular AI companies, Dolly, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, they're all, one of them is going to start eating the other because at some point, Dolly 2, Google is going to have enough money to buy out one of these competitors that is slightly better than the other at a particular thing. So I don't know how much Midjourney is making because I think it's, I just don't think they're publishing that yet. But imagine Midjourney makes a tiny bit more or a tiny bit less than Stable Diffusion. Google or
Stable
whichever the bigger
Diffusion,
fish is
I
just
think
going to
even
buy
hardly
Stable
makes.
Diffusion.
Stable Diffusion is just open source.
Then they might not get
That's
consumed.
part of what makes it so amazing too. It's multi-capable and open source. Like you could do chat shit with it too. You could do the video shit. You could do image shit.
Yeah. I just think it's crazy that, like, in mainstream culture, the quote unquote smartest people invested into like OpenAI. Like I think Elon Musk put in like 100 million.
I gotta look some shit up. I need.
Okay, he invested 100 million, but then he pulled it out. Apparently, and he has no control or ownership over OpenAI whatsoever. So he did at one point. I think I saw in an interview he did it because he was worried about AI ethics, which I find funny because the Google's AI ethics team got cut. Trying to find.
Oh, hey, so okay, I actually know something about Stable Diffusion right now. Idea really business-wise.
Can you move your mic a little bit closer? You keep like cutting out.
It's pretty close. I'm probably just not talking loud enough. Probably need to talk more like this. Is that better?
Yeah.
That's kind of annoying, but alright. Anyway, I finally learned something about Stable Diffusion. It's like business. I had no idea what it was or who it was related to or anything. But apparently,
Send it.
apparently it was developed by the startup Stability AI in collaboration with a number of researchers and nonprofit organization. And yeah, the whole goal was just to release it for free, apparently, or it seems like that at least at a glance.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind
But
of cool.
that's also how they get you. They're like, oh yeah, it's definitely free, but they give it to you for 5 years and then take it away from you, and then you're like, okay, I'll pay it.
Maybe, but that doesn't always happen with tech stuff, man. I mean, look at WinRAR. You ever paid for WinRAR?
No, but
How long
big
have you used
businesses
it
do,
though? Okay, yeah,
and
fuck
that's
the
the
big
whole.
businesses. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Well, I think from
I
a
don't think
stock
Stable
standpoint,
Diffusion
or
was
what
made
Stable
for
Diffusion.
like I don't think they're made for big businesses though. I think that's the thing. I think they're made more for like me and
No,
or just
I
for
think they're made for me
people to
and
be able to
you, but I
learn.
think they're gonna profitize the corporate side because essentially, it's kind of like a copyright thing, but it's more about a licensing fee. Like, let's say you and me start making $1 million or $200 million off of a business that is exclusively using Stable Diffusion. There's a high chance that they might come after us for that because even though it's free, it is a service that they're providing. And they probably have something in there already stating that, which is like another thing. I think artists have, I think they have, like traditional artists, I think they have a legitimate claim or a legitimate worry to like how if an AI samples their piece of art in its large database of images that it's sampling, I think they have a right to be concerned about them not being able to monetize that transaction.
Nah, I disagree with that because that's just how the world already works. If you art and that inspires you and you use it in your future works, you know, do they need to be able to monetize you seeing their art and using it as inspiration?
On an individual basis, no, but because this is a company, essentially, I don't think that we should just be allowing companies to mass harvest when they're already mass harvesting our data, but for them to then go and mass harvest our intellectual data, and then us, the people that are feeding this algorithm, I feel like we should either be able to opt out of it, opt out of the sampling in some way, or be able to get paid even if it's fractions of a penny, right? Because let's say a canvas is 19 by 20 pixels and I use one inspiration of one pixel from one of your photos, Jim. If you guys don't know, Jim does amazing photography. He's gonna say his Instagram right here, or we'll do it at the end. But go check out his photography.
What if somebody like, what if you have like that piece
But
of art displayed in public and then like somebody else takes a photograph of it and posts it somewhere and then the bot gets that? Do you have to filter out all of those too?
I mean, in a perfect world, I feel like each person there would get a piece of the transaction. Like, ultimately, I'm not sure how you would go about doing that other than anything that, like, you post online is, like, associated with something on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And then
An
each time
NFT,
that goes out
actually.
to be used, you get, you know, a fraction of a penny,
So
maybe.
like an NFT, essentially.
Yeah, because the NFT is just the digital numeric number
I
that's
mean, that
going
would just
into
be
the block.
renting. That would just be renting out the rights to your NFT.
Yeah, you're renting it out to this big corporation that's going to pay you now instead of not paying you at all and just being like, oh yeah, I'm a big corporation. I can just go and take this tiny fraction of your intellectual property and then do that 100 million times across the whole population to give our users, our customer, a customized piece of art. In,
But
in
good
a
luck.
perfect world, I feel like that's where, or I wouldn't say in a perfect world, I'd say in the future that's one possibility it might end up. But also it just might not. And you're right, these stable diffusion, alt mid-journey will just continue to consume intellectual property and nothing bad will happen. Because unfortunately, I would say artists, creatives, are one of the like least powerful when it comes to affecting like actual change for a cause. Like, just think, like the first thing that comes to my mind is like Shakespeare and trying to bring out some of the writings from ancient Rome, and like I can't really go into it here because it's a lot. I don't want this to turn into a philosophical discussion, but just artists in general, it takes a while for their message to almost be received by the public at large. It's one of the reasons Nietzsche said he was like he's like, I think he said it was like 20 or 50 years. He was born too early, essentially, for people to like understand him. which is also like a really narcissistic thing to say, but I kind of like that about him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, actually pretty bold to say something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm hoping that it goes down the hole where artists can get paid fractions of a penny or whatever it is for these companies to use their art. I think that would be the better way to go down.
Yeah, I think people just basically having full rights to their own.
Yeah.
So also though, on that stability AI thing, I'm not sure if they are making money anyway at all, or if it really is just like some sort of non-profit, because I know that they're not publicly traded.
Stability AI business model. Stability makes
Okay,
money from our
so
AI
so they
products.
do have AI products that they send to
Yeah,
other
they're a
businesses.
SaaS,
Yeah, so
software as
that's
a service.
yeah, exactly. So this is also kind of what though like Midjourney's gonna need to do something like this, because even like Stability, the one that's giving away their shit for free, has this business side already cranking various purposes, not just like the art.
Yeah.
But I do think they're always gonna keep it, I mean, free for most users, because it just look at the link I sent you, the about page, and just read the mission statement. I mean, as long as they stay true to the mission statement.
Okay. Yeah, but we. Well, let me get you back. But we know how mission statements go. Google removed "Don't be evil" from their mission statement.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like that's such a clickbait thing to say. Like, who cares? That doesn't actually mean anything to begin with.
yeah, but that's why mission statements don't really mean anything. Like, maybe it's the overall general direction, but
What was the rest of their mission statement? Do you know the rest of their mission statement?
no.
Did they change the rest of it?
Well, they just removed that one line.
So, removing that one basically meaningless line from a mission statement doesn't change. Mission statement's essentially the same. It doesn't matter. Like, people act like that line being removed is some great, like, tragedy or, like, some sign of the times or something, and it's like, does anybody who's so worried about that even know what Google's mission statement is? Probably not. They're just on that clickbait shit.
I don't know. I think it just goes to show that you can't really trust these companies to do the right thing when they're like in their own
I don't
mission
think it
statement. They were like,
does.
"Oh, let's
Just
do the right
removing
thing."
that, bro, removing one meaningless line text
Yeah,
doesn't
but it's not
that you
meaningless
can't
if you're
trust
like, "This is
companies.
part of our core mission." Like,
What is their core
our
mission?
whole business model.
But you don't even know what their core mission is, so how could you possibly say that? Okay, now find out what their oldest mission statement was and see if it's changed.
Google code of conduct. Like, I guess was their code of conduct.
So see, that's what I'm
Don't hate me
talking
now.
about. All of that arguing, and it's not even about the correct thing. Like, people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That don't be evil thing is complete bullshit. It's meaningless.
I'm just saying they used it for their own purposes to probably get clout. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this the ethical, the correct way, the way you want us to do it." Right? And then then they turn around, they're like, "Actually, we're going to do it the way that's in our best interest." And you're right.
I
That
don't know.
was a meaningless platitude, you
I
know.
think it probably just got removed because they're probably trying to like clean it up or something and remove unnecessary lines and make it very direct and clear. Probably something like that. I don't think it's serious or
Yeah, I don't
schemed
think
at
they did
all.
it
And
on
honestly,
purpose.
like
It's
knowing how
just
big companies can work, from like working inside of, I don't know how big they are. I think they're a mall. Uh, shit be happening for no fucking reason, man. These
You better
mach-
not.
these companies aren't like perfectly greased machines where every single event that happens was like some planned strategy. Like a lot of bullshit happens because there's just so many people.
Yeah,
And
and
something like that, literally might have just been the result of the person who's supposed to review the code of conduct and stuff being told to clean it up. And nobody thought about it at all. And then for some reason it became news.
yeah, but like you're a perfect example. Like mom and pop shops, if things go wrong that they can't necessarily predict without a software as a service, and
I
that's
think
where
they can totally. Wait. Where's that coming from? Transition into Palantir? All right, let's just transition into Palantir. I don't
no,
agree
but
with that line though, but
no, but don't you think mom and pop shops need a tool that would allow them to predict, like you were saying, like things go wrong, right? Even small businesses need a way to,
fuck, I was talking about the massive mega corpo that I work for. But
yeah,
sure.
that's what I'm saying.
Mom and pop shops and massive
Well, I
megacorps
thought
aren't the same thing.
I thought you said they were a mom and pop, but either way.
No, what? I said they're one of the top companies in the nation. Like they make dumb, stupid money and they have shitloads of employees.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you were saying something
No, that's
else,
why I was
but
saying like that's how like the Google thing could be removed and it might have just been an accident because when you have such a massive machine with so many cogs in it, little things get lost. Like somebody might have just been told to do something and then, they told somebody else to do something and then that line ended up getting removed and but somehow it ended up becoming like major news. I was saying that
yeah,
sort of thing can like happen in a company pretty easily when it's a really big company.
yeah. But one thing that I think Palantir can help even improve on that is, like if it was just something that was like accidentally scrubbed in like in in like Palantir, the person wouldn't have been able to do that because it would have been something that they were like you need clearance to remove this, right? You need a certain amount of clearance to access this particular type of information. I think about like how your doctor knows a particular set of information about you compared to the nurse at the front. Like the nurse at the front isn't technically allowed to see any specific data about you, only the doctor is.
Paid for
Stuff
this
like that.
placement, John. How much for this ad read?
Dude, okay, full
If
disclosure.
you could, though, how quick would you take it?
I mean,
It'd probably be
I
like
would take it really quickly
2-3
because,
grand per read.
be, honestly, yeah. But I say that here before. Let me full disclosure. I am a shareholder in Robinhood. I have to say that for liability reasons. This is not
That's good.
financial
That's good.
advice.
That's good. Yeah, get that
I
out of the way.
hold a position in Palantir. I just believe in their mission statement, as Jim believes in stable diffusions. And I just
Absolutely.
think they have a great product. And I also think that it's not only the future of warfare, but also the future of way businesses are
So you think
going to be run.
they're gonna keep their mission statement though, don't you? They're gonna stick to it.
Yes, and the reason that I believe that they will stick to it is because they've actually shown it at the cost and expense of shareholders and top leadership. They refuse to work with China, Russia, or any adversary that is against the United States. I like the United States. I think the United States should be the best at warfare, but also digital warfare, because I think the best thing that you can do is have an arsenal to defend yourself in case anything does happen. And I think Palantir is the software that's going to do that on the battleground and in the digital space when it comes to protecting intellectual property, like like
Yeah, I
artwork
mean, yeah,
that we were
fair
just
enough.
discussing.
That was mostly just a fun little gotcha, but
No, dude,
yeah,
it was great. I like that. That's going to be a great YouTube short. I appreciate that.
yeah, some good prompting for you. There you go.
See,
It's
Jim, you're
all
getting
planned,
at
guys.
prompt engineering.
It's fully scripted.
See, Jim didn't know how to prompt anyone before he got into ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion.
Oh
Now
God,
he's a prompting genius.
it's like a reverse Pavlov. The AI is training me.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I'm actually writing about right now is a a way for teachers to effectively use ChatGPT and other AI based tools to actually make students better and have them engage more in the topic through like a wider lens and a deeper lens, because what happens, like I find, is like I essentially make my rough draft is the best and then I make it even better. And in this process that I'm trying to develop is a way for teachers to not only just be like, oh, let here's how you can make students use ChatGPT. It's more of like a full lesson plan, and each part of the lesson plan involves how they're going to use ChatGPT and how it's in each section, how it's ultimately going to lead to having more like actual research in whatever topic they're talking about that they could then go ahead and turn into like an actual like academic journal and actually get published. And I think that's because, one, I think we need more research and the things that are worth researching. And I think the only way you find the things that are worth researching are by having more research in a wider topic, because eventually, you know, you're going to research out a little bit over here and then find a dead end, right? You're going to research over here and find a new way, and that's going to lead to more. And I think if we can start getting students to do that a lot earlier, the course that I'm trying to make is specifically for college kids, but I think we could definitely apply it to like the grade school level. So we could literally be having, you know, hundreds of kids in our school system writing these high quality research paper that is forcing them to engage in whatever topic it is, add something to the conversation, and then say, this is where research needs to go further. And I think that's how we're going to get, you know, I think that's how we're going to fix one of the many problems of our education system. Because it shouldn't take us till, you know, the second half of our 4 years to actually start writing research on the things we are trying to learn about. Like, why are we learning about these things? Why are we going to try to find the truth if it's not worth it? You know, it's just not worth it to research particular things if there's no truth in those things, you know? And truth is relative here, right? Because it's just all about perception. Like, the reason we're having this conversation, I think one of the reasons we're having it is, one, because you want to, but two, because you're finding some truth in this conversation. You're finding some truth in your time, like being here and having this conversation.
With you
Otherwise,
right
you
now?
wouldn't be here.
I mean, yeah. So I haven't said a word for the past 5 minutes. So, conversation, sure, relative, but
Yeah, but what do you think about the whole getting our kids to get into research at an earlier age?
um,
Because I think that's where the advancement is really going to come from.
I
If
mean,
we
yeah, I'd
start
agree
doing
with
that.
that. I honestly kind of hard to comment on that full thing because that was truly
Yeah,
very long.
it was
But
jump around, you know.
but yeah, no, I think it could be reformed in a much better way. Um, as far as like doing research, when I think about schooling, I typically think more about skills, not like the actual applied task that gets you that skill. But I mean, yeah, that definitely is helpful. I'm a big advocate of critical thinking and research. Obviously helps that. If nothing else, it at least teaches you how to absorb knowledge. Um, is a good thing.
Yeah, because I don't. I'm sorry, Noah. I'm bringing it up. Our friend Noah, one of his teachers, makes him um, handwrite his paper, take a picture of it, and then send it in for the assignment. And it's like the reason he's doing this is to get around ChatGPT and these other AIs. But in reality, he's not, because you could put it into ChatGPT and then just copy that and handwrite it out. Like,
Yeah, I'm almost like not sure if that's why he's doing it. If he's doing it for that reason, that's really pretty dumb. If he's for some like strange fucking pull yourself up from your bootstrap shit, like, oh, back in my day, I had to write things up by hand, so now I'm gonna make you do it too.
yeah,
It's
or
just, it
he's
seems
under,
strange, whatever it is.
yeah, or I feel like he might also be under the false assumption that writing something by hand increases how you retain that information. Like,
There might be
I'm not,
something to
I'm not
that, but
convinced that it's relatively any different than you typing something up and reading it on a screen or
yeah,
listening
either
to
either
it.
way, there's a tactile to it, so you would
Yeah,
think it'd be kind of the same. I would think it's the same unless there's some evidence that it's not.
yeah, like, because I think it's way more, it's all about attention, right? What is your attention focused on when you're writing or when you're typing? On the words, right? So as long as your attention is on the words and how those words fit into the overall sentence and how the sentence fits into the overall paragraph, no matter what, you're going to retain the information depending on your focus level. But
Just attention and repetition. And
yeah,
regardless, I mean, if you're, typing it or writing it, you're thinking about it a lot, and then you're physically putting it down, so you're getting attention and repetition.
yeah, repetition, I would say time or attention times time equals like output.
Attention times time equals output.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be more like output times time equals retention?
I mean, either way, but I think the attention part is the most important when trying to remember something or
I'd argue
pulling value out of
repetition,
it.
but attention, of course, you have to have attention to have repetition.
Yeah, like,
I think there's a bunch of science showing though that repetition is literally the thing that makes you remember things. Of course, like traumatic experiences can be one time and you'll remember that great, but that's a little different.
yeah,
And that's how we gotta get kids to actually start learning, John. Just have them have a traumatic experience while we teach them. You know, it's like, all
just
right,
have,
kids, count to 10. One of them fucks up, shoot a random child in the head. They will remember how to count to 10.
no, hear me out. We just need to bring back bullying. We gotta bully the dumb kids a little bit to make to make them smarter. That's not actually how it would work,
There still
but
is bullying though. What is it? What does the bring back bullying mean? The only real difference I would say is there's physical bullying, but there's plenty of bullying.
no, I'm more specifically talking about like the teacher being able to be like, no, that's fucking stupid, instead of being like, no, that's incorrect. Teachers have to be pretty, pretty PC
I
when it
guess,
comes to
yeah.
interacting with like children.
I mean, I do think that there is benefits to, being more calm and not necessarily wholesome, but civil with them. Definitely, I think that fosters a better learning environment. Could you learn something from a hard ass teacher? I guess so. Probably largely, mostly how to deal with a person like that.
Yeah, but
I
that's
mean, there's other ways to get into someone's mind that like, hey, you're wrong. I don't think you have to be super nice and squishy like you're saying, but I don't think you have to tell them like, no, that's fucking stupid. But I mean,
yeah,
you
I
could be
agree.
direct. You could be direct. You could be like, no, that's wrong. Like,
Yeah,
let's figure out
but
why you think that in some probably Socratic way. I would end up doing it.
yeah, I mean, I was just being more hyperbolic right there uh, when it comes to like being the harshness, because I think the ultimate reality is like I'm just going based off of the system I described earlier, but I think children would have a lot more respect for teachers, and I think teachers would have a lot more respect for students if there was a lot more of um, like if you're teaching a subject, you need shareholder buy-in from that student to want to actively learn from you, right?
Jesus, everything's economic. Yeah. You're like Joe Rogan, ties everything into martial arts somehow.
I just
Like
tie
everything's
everything to
Bitcoin
everything.
at the end of the day.
No, but right, like think of the class. Like I had a biology class, and the teacher, uh, she just couldn't get shareholder buy-in from the whole class, and most of the time the class just ended up like overrunning her when it came to like disruptions, like focusing on like what we were trying to learn from that day, right?
Yeah.
But in my system, each individual kid would be able to explore like what they found interesting, and be able to like actually research on the thing that they find interesting, even if it is something like super novel, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So more of like a trade system sort of thing, or a like proficiency sort of thing, where you're directed more towards what you're interested in, or I mean, typically it's more what you're good at, but sure you could do like what you're interested in too, and just start applying that at an earlier age. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I think the extra bulk of classes that you don't need to be taking is what inspires that low shareholder buy-in you were talking about, because people just don't give a fuck. For some people in certain classes, there's not going to be any way to get them in. So, I mean, yeah, finding what people are interested in, and then maybe even like, using sort of AI to figure out like what are the optimal classes for the person to take to remain interested and get a good understanding of this subject, and then set up their course path for them. Goodbye, college counselors. Will not miss you. You suck fucking ass anyway. Um,
Yeah, sorry,
literally
college
have to do their
counselors. You
job
guys
for them
are
most of the time. Like they
you guys are the
truly suck.
bureaucracy that we all talk about that we want to remove. But
They're just
see,
fucking. They're middle management. They're like the middle management of college. Um,
yeah, honestly, I feel
but
like
yeah, we gotta just too like prune unnecessary classes. Like you won't have kids, who are bored in fucking art history if they didn't have to take art history as an elective for their geology degree. Like, what the fuck does art history have to do with it? They don't need a
well,
broad understanding of arts. They can get it on their own at this point. There's plenty of free information available if they actually become interested. You know,
yeah,
the point
and
of college at this point isn't to like really expand your mind. It's to enable you to get a job. So let's just treat it like that and stop trying to do this diverse education thing. Let's just have it be to the point. We could speed it up, cut costs, make it more efficient. It would
yeah,
be just better for everyone except for, greedy colleges that want people spending a lot of time in their school and spending a lot of money there.
yeah. Well, I think that's what the trade schools are really good at, right? Right out of high school,
Yeah,
you can instantly go into a trade, right?
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I don't think colleges are really going to move away from that particular system, because that's just what like the entire like Western liberal arts movement has been based on, is like looking at other cultures, looking at like essentially the whole world as one, and then specializing in whatever you want in like those last 2 years, right? That's why we have those stupid prerequisites that like everyone pretty much complains about, like you mentioned, like the art history and stuff. But I think if we are going to make kids go through that process, then we should try to, in my view, the system I'm trying to develop is that process of getting shareholder buy-in from those students that you said might not necessarily really care about art history or, film 1800 to 1900, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to keep them in that system, we need them to be doing research, not just taking that class because it's required on their major. Because
So you want
if
to
we
just
allow hold on, if we allow them to do research even in a topic that they find uninteresting, like art history is your example, if you did some research in art history, that still gives you a step up in the workplace of someone who doesn't have any published research, that you don't have as much credibility as the person that has or that did do it. And in that way
definitely,
it
but
also propels the
wasn't
research
wasn't part of it to like
forward.
inspire interest though?
Hmm.
And so at this point, you're basically saying like, take a kid who's uninterested in a subject, say, "Fuck you, I know you're uninterested, but I'm gonna force you to do research to contribute to the greater good anyway."
Well, they're going to have to take the class, right, in this system. They still have
Yeah.
to
So
take
you're,
the class, they still have to get a good grade and everything, but instead of me being like, me being the teacher in this situation, instead of me forcing them, you have to write about, these three things that I'm interested in regards to how I'm teaching the class and everything. I want it more, a kid can go into a class, not necessarily be interested in the class, but still produce, a research paper out of that class with the use of ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT, like the hardest part is the computational processing power to
well, I
put
just don't
in
get. Wait, what's
a
the
research
purpose of that?
paper.
Though? What's the purpose of taking somebody who doesn't have any interest in a class and then making them write a research paper using an AI?
Because then you're going to grade them on that, and then they can pass or fail the class.
Right. But what's the gain? What's the difference?
The gain is that there's more research in that particular field, like geology, or I'll use my major, philosophy. If I write a philosophy paper and advance the
Yeah,
body
okay,
of
so
research
I get it.
a
I
little
totally
bit,
get it.
yeah,
So I was kind of right then though. You do want to take people who are uninterested in a subject and be like, fuck it if you're there. We're gonna basically force you to use this AI to produce a good for the community, regardless.
yeah.
That sounds so like dystopian dictatorial, honestly. Like we must force the person to create the product.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what colleges are doing already. Like we said, like I don't think that system is going to change. I think
Really? I
I
mean,
think we can
they
just
don't
make
write
it
research
better.
until way later when they're actually doing it for their field in the subject that they care about.
I know,
Having
but I
people,
think if we want that advancement, we shouldn't be making it, oh, you have your master's degree, and now you start producing like research, or now you have your PhD, now
okay,
you
yeah, but
start
at that
producing
point,
research.
if it's like undergrad level, they're not very smart, um, or not very educated at least. So at that point, the AI is really the one producing all research, right? Like the
No,
human doesn't
not in,
actually add much of a benefit.
no. In my system, I'll have to show it to you so you can better understand it. But in this system, it's more the AI is doing like a very base level analysis, something that you could probably get off of like a Medium article or like a Substack article, something like that. But
Uh-huh.
then the actual like they have to question the assumptions and they have to be like, okay, based off of that questioning, is whatever your particular thesis, is that still valid, even given the criticism? If no, awesome. But now, where do you see this research going in the future? What questions weren't you able to come to a conclusion on your thesis that you think are still valuable questions to be asked in the future if someone was to produ- go down this same line with you? Like if I wanted to write on your paper. And I think that's how you're
Okay.
going to get a lot more of the student's own individuality in the research questions and the things that they end up producing, right? Because they're still going to have to use quotes, whether, you know, the AI pulls that quote from somewhere or they physically pull it. I don't care. Are they quoting it correctly? Does their argument
Is
make
that gonna be
coherent
like
sense?
useful research though?
For
Because I mean, it sounds like they're just researching something that's already been researched, right? They're not
no.
doing novel research. What's the difference between graduate level and undergrad level
Well, that's
research?
why.
Is like you're saying wait until graduate level to produce research papers, but there's a difference. You wait to graduate level because you have to know enough about the subject to be able to produce novel research. You can't produce novel research with the AI because the AI has to sample things that already exist. So at that point, you're just doing undergrad,
Yeah, but
looking
then
at
not
other
then.
people's research and writing up a summary of it.
Yeah, that's
But
what
that
you're
doesn't
going to do at the
contribute.
beginning, and then
That
you're
doesn't
like, I
contribute
have this
anything.
novel idea. Yeah, because that's where the student's individuality comes in, and they're like, hey, I have this novel idea that I want to pursue in regards to frog rainforest species and how weather migrations, whatever it is, you know, if that kid is interested in that, they should be able to research that particular thing in that subject matter, because then that's how you get the shareholder buy-in. That's how you get them actually engaging and learning the content from your course.
Yeah,
And then in the end,
I get it, but
in the,
doesn't that
in the
still?
end, it's not about teaching the student how to do research papers. What you're actually teaching them how to do is to critically think, come up with a coherent argument, find what is the, quote unquote truth in regard to the question that they're asking, separate
Yeah,
that truth from untruth. And I
yeah.
think
I
that's what
mean,
the student gains out of it. The institution just gains that extra research so they can be a little bit more prestigious, kind of like how colleges
again,
work
I
now.
think that second part's just a null argument because is a summary of existing research really adding to your prestige?
Yeah, at least in the philosophy, dude, all it is in the philosophy field is this is what someone else thinks. Here's some of my counter arguments and some things that they forgot.
For that one
Here's the
specific field.
conclusion.
If I do like a, like summary of how a transistor works, a research paper on that contributes nothing to anybody, no matter how much I put my questions in there.
Yeah, but
Unless I come up
then,
with some
yeah,
like
but you're not.
groundbreaking like question, which at that point, you're obviously very interested in the thing if you did that and you would have been pursuing it without any help anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be good. Like, I just think my system, because, like, with Noah's teacher, if he's trying to get around ChatGPT, like, why are we. Because essentially what he's doing is he's stifling his students, right? He's like, the calculator just came out, you can't use it, And it's like, well, if it's a new tool and it's going to help me get a better grade, and at least in my system, I'm going to be able to gain something more from using this system other than just copying and pasting stuff. Like, I would much rather have our teachers have them use this technology in a way that helps the child better understand problem solving and critical thinking than them just copying and pasting it, which I feel like is what's going to happen when these teachers or when teachers just flat out say, no, you can't use any AI tool whatsoever. And if you do, you're in trouble. One, that's just going to force students to find workarounds. which might lead to more innovation. So like there is a positive that might come from that. But I think ultimately it's just going to hurt students. It's going to set them back in the workplace when their counterparts are using these AI systems and that are producing more value for them than the person that doesn't, right? Someone who knows how to code produces a lot more for themselves than someone that knows how to just do data entry. At least that's my view on it. I
Yeah,
think we
I'm
just
not
got to use it
sure
the
like I
correct way.
completely understand the advantages of your viewpoint, but I mean, I feel it. That's your viewpoint. Hell yeah.
Yeah, at least that's what I'm gonna try to make and put out into the world. A better way for teachers to teach and for students to learn.
Hey, so I gotta embarrass you on your stream right now. You spelled
Like,
finance wrong on your title at the top.
oh
You
yeah,
put
most people.
finanace.
That's Finanace and more, dude. Finanace. Dude, I'm gonna change the server name to Finanace.
John, I love you, but you definitely need AI to be autocorrecting things for you.
Yeah. I think this might just be an old one. Because I do have the normal one.
Mm.
Or the correct one.
Oh, we got deep in that. What else? Talk.
Yeah, that was a good discussion.
Time for the next segment. But what's it gonna be? Oh, do you want to see the vacuum I got? And we can determine if it's gonna
Yeah,
blow up or
hear me
not,
out, turn on
or
your...
if it's Chinese spyware or what. I'm absolutely not going to turn on my screen because it'll get channel. There's just too much of a chance something bad will pop up. Can't do it.
Yeah.
My computer is not, certainly not kosher, to say the least. But you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm fine with it. Just not good for the monetization or the staying on the platform.
Right.
I think it's this. Oh no, actually, wait. It's not this exact one. Hold up. This one? No. This one. Okay.
Hear me out.
My bad. I went to the last purchased one.
You want
So
to just
it's right
stream
there.
your... Alright.
Nope. I'll watch your stream.
Yeah, but it's just so I can see what you're saying. Yeah, whatever.
No, it's that. I just went to my purchases, so it's confirmed this one. But yeah, it's currently charging. Haven't tried it yet. It'll probably have to wait until the morning because I think I do have to download the app to get it to start.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't read the user manual.
I feel like you don't really need to.
Exactly. Like one of two things is gonna happen. I either have to get the app to get it going, or I have to like press the power button twice or 3 times or some shit, or hold it down or something, you know?
Yeah.
Don't know yet, but I mean, $100, not terrible. You see how it says it's marked down from 400 though?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. I feel like that's a cap. Like I don't think this thing was at any point $400. I think that's just straight up marketing. It's like the store on the corner that's
Yeah.
always going out of business.
Yeah. I mean, I did that when I was drop shipping. It's a known tactic in marketing, but public still falls for it sometimes. They're like, "Oh, such a great deal. Buy two, get one free." Or buy one, get one free. But the first one is like $12.
Fight that. I think it's still pretty good. It seems sturdy, you know.
Yeah.
Did my mic not just mute?
No.
Did you hear me urinating?
No.
Okay, great. So it didn't make the beep. All right. I had to
Maybe.
go like urgently. I was trying to wait until the end, but when I put my mic back down to speak to you just now, it didn't make the little beep telling me it came off of mute. So I was like, "Oh my God, was that on the whole time?"
You're like, oh no.
Yeah, emergencies. It occurred to me after that I was like, "You know what? I should have just said, "Hey, BRB, I gotta go take a piss." But you know what? Committed. I'm too used to Discord.
Right.
What are we looking at? Your car?
Yeah, this is a video that I just put up for fun. This
You're about
was
to get
just before
flagged
my
by
doctor's
yourself.
appointment.
You can't show your own footage on stream, John.
Yes, I can. I can
Your
even play the
agent's
music if I
gonna your
wanted.
agent's gonna sue you on behalf of yourself.
Do you recognize this music?
Hold it. I gotta turn it up a little bit. I had it turned down, so
This is the When Duel music from Duel Links.
it sounded familiar, but now I couldn't place it. I was thinking it was from Super Mecha Champions, the menu.
Oh yeah, it kind of sounded like that.
Kind of similar, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That was a good game, man. Any game where you can hop on PC and play against mobile players in an FPS is great. You just stomp them. It's fun.
Yeah, we should play that sometime.
And then occasionally you encounter another PC player and you just get obliterated. Skills are
Right.
soft because you're just used to fighting scrubs on phone, basically.
Exactly.
This is a good track.
Yeah, I took off the Great and Square one and posted just this one for more of like a serene. There's Eric. I should see if he has that picture. 'Cause he was trying to take a picture of it right there. But I think that's a good place to end the first episode of the Egos Anonymous podcast. I think we had a pretty good discussion on AI, economy, business,
This is
art.
pretty good, yeah. Pretty good, not bad. How long was that?
It was like an hour 30. I think
Hour 30?
we're at an hour 37.
It definitely didn't feel that long. They always say that on podcasts, and I was like, okay. But, I mean, I guess it's true.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for having me on, bud.
yeah. Thanks for being my first guest. You're
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
old school
Going down to the
homie,
books, #1. That's me.
number one.
Remember me. Remember me!
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Give me the summarize again. I once again got to that.
Yeah. So that's perfect because I wasn't recording that and now I am, and now I get to do it again naturally.
Oh, lol. Okay. Yeah, see, you were just going for a fucking quote, weren't you?
No,
Alright.
no. So my idea is, if you right, even without my plan, but let's just assume my plan is in place for like the research methods. The people who get PhDs in particular things are probably doing, quote unquote, the right or the correct or the meaningful research that is actually producing results, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have made a career out of researching that particular thing. But I was using mathematics and our limits on like understanding string theory and how a lot of our mathematical concepts, our theoretical mathematical concepts, are pretty much at a wall. We're at the limits of our knowledge regarding that research. And what I wanted to do was take those high level PhDs willingly, of course,
Oh,
consent,
I understand.
and then putting them into a retreat with um, psychologists and a whole medical team to
Right.
essentially allow them to have take high dose psilocybin. There's actually research being done right now where people are in the DMT deep state for hours at a time, and they're actually exploring like themselves in that hallucination. And I think we can use that to our advantage when it comes to having breakthroughs in research and breakthroughs in understanding how to do particular things. And I think if we're focused on progression, I think that's one way that we should think about conducting ourselves if we're trying to make these gr- great scientific breakthroughs.
Yeah, you get stuck, think outside of the box, fathom the unfathomable, have a good time, profit.
Exactly. And if it's something that people are individually like interested in, like imagine you in like high school and
Oh
you're
God,
like,
I don't
oh,
want to imagine.
right, neither do I. Okay, imagine some kid in Cape Town, Africa.
Right,
They're
right.
applying this system, right? And in high school, he has this novel idea about how, like transistors affect the gravitational pull of like neutrons or something like that. you know, just something really niche. But imagine him like actually pursuing that, doing research, and then finding out, oh, people are building on this research. Let me continue. Let me make this become my career, and something comes of it, and we get a breakthrough in like fusion technology or something, and it completely revolutionizes like energy costs. you know, like
Yeah,
that's the type of environment that we need to I'd say ail whatever is ailing our countries. We have so many problems. Like we could go into an infinite amount of problems that we have today, war notwithstanding. Like, but we could fix
good,
so many
good
things.
subject. Definitely a Derek episode if you do have him on, because as far as I know, essentially what he wants to do is he hopes to get into physics to make some sort of discovery at some point, or be part of a team that does.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, well,
So
dude,
yeah,
I'm
he should
definitely gonna
get
have to
his take
talk to
on it
him.
for sure.
I'm definitely gonna have to talk to him because that's also kind of one of the things that I want to do as well, not in the mathematics space, although I have considered going for a high end math degree. I've thought about it a little bit.
Good luck. It's torturous.
No, I know. That's why I've only thought about it a little bit. I think I'd much rather stick to the philosophizing
Problem
than
is you have to start
than the
from
math.
ground zero, but I do think they work well together. Both
Yeah,
really
like
stress logic and critical thinking.
yeah. From my understanding, a lot of high end philosophers end up going into the mathematical field, or a lot of high end mathematics starters end up going into the philosophy field because the two are pretty much intertwined I, at the
Yeah,
highest level.
when I was taking symbolic logic, which is all just like
Yes.
you know about
Yeah.
symbolic logic.
Dude,
Um,
you want to hear something crazy
the guy took the
go ahead.
class though, wrote the book, and of course he's like, buy my book. My book is the one for the class. I think that should be probably. Um, yeah, he had a math background too. Like that makes sense. You're essentially just doing imaginary number equations here.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to talk to Derek about that because I think, like, ultimate, like, my idea of a utopia, that would be one feature of it. There's really smart kids doing research in something that they're actually interested in, so they're actually happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for human.
Say again, you're breaking up a bit. You're all for what?
I was saying I'm all for humans being removed largely from menial tasks. I mean, we should be able to at some point, get rid of most generic labor and reserve humans for creative tasks and research, things like that. And that's definitely the timeline I want to live in. Like, call me lazy, it's fucking true, but I don't want to be, doing basic chores every fucking day. I would much rather be doing
The things you enjoy.
subjects that are interesting and possibly contributing something great. Most people probably won't, but the more people you have doing it, it's the monkey with a typewriter type thing, Somebody's gonna produce Shakespeare eventually. And the more monkeys you got doing it, the better.
Yeah, but I also think people are just going to be happier because we know, like, in order to be happy, you need to, like, have a sense of community. And if you're tied into this larger network of, like, research and people that are really interested in particular things, you're going to feel more like you're a part of something. That's why religions and cults and clubs and discords get so big. That larger
Yeah.
sense of community.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see something close to, in Arcane when they have like I forget what they call it, but that day in Piltover where they're like showing off all the new inventions.
Yeah, kind of
And
like
you
a
just see
World's
like everyone in
Fair.
the streets. Yeah, World's Fair type thing. Yeah. World's Fair type situation is definitely the kind of thing I want to be peak focus.
Yeah,
Um,
because like, if you don't think you have a future, why would you want to become a shareholder in that future? I hate to keep using the term shareholder, or like if you have no shareholder buy-in in your local community, like, you're not going to go and do the things for them.
I would like to see that future is open source though too. I think if you really want to maximize your efficiency and get gains as quickly as possible, it's going to have to be open source. It's the same thing, like the most monkeys is going to be the, quickest system to create Shakespeare. To get the quickest advancements, you're going to have to make all the technology available to everyone. At
Yeah,
least the knowledge of it, not necessarily the physical asset, because, that's limited. But knowledge should be definitely open source, given to everyone, and the more people you have tinkering with it, the quicker you're going to advance.
the quicker you're going to advance what?
The quicker you will obtain advancement
Yeah,
in technology, like if you limit it in any sort of way, if you don't have, all of the population able to get on it, you're just going to be performing at a reduced rate. The
yeah,
more people you have, the faster you're going to get results. So open source should, in theory, produce the fastest results.
yeah. So
Plus, then you don't have to deal with any sort of bureaucracy. It's just every man for themselves. Fucking go for it. Figure it out. Not, we
yeah,
have to approve this. The president said no. Yada yada.
yeah. But I think government also plays a semi-important role in this. Like, just from my experience, government turns slow, and I think we need some sort of, like, slowing mechanism when it comes to, like, how quickly we're going to, like, these AIs are just going to continually advance faster and faster the more compute hours that they have. So I'm not saying it makes me feel better, but it there's something kind of comforting knowing that we have, like, some sort of slow mechanism that might not allow this thing to, 0 to 100, but in that time, 0 to 100 at 50, humans get slaughtered, or
Well,
we end
so
up in the bad AI future compared to
that's the
the
same. That
optimistic
that that
future.
problem exists regardless, I think. Um, and I think there's a built-in limiter essentially that's going to prevent the little guy from ever being able to achieve that anyway. You said it yourself, like compute power, right? Little guy,
Yeah,
regardless of all of their innovation in the world, is never going to have the compute power of the big company. And the big company would be the one have the compute power to make some drastic shit happen with some innovation. And so that will happen regardless of whether or not you have more or less people working on it, more or less little guy. Some like drastic catastrophe based on AI, it's gonna be like Google's fucking servers got on the loose, and now you have like the largest server system in the world with the most compute power in the world out here doing dangerous shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be
I
somebody's
wasn't worried
fucking
about. I wasn't
Dell
talking about the
desktop.
little guy, you know,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
or
saying. Then
someone
it doesn't
just.
matter if it's open source or not, because the little guy's not the problem, and the big guy exists in either scenario.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we need the big guys there. Whether that's the government slowing down, uh, I guess like the moral progress of these companies. You know, because one company, like, imagine if Palantir like went rogue or something. They have, okay, it's weird. They have access to the data you give them, but they don't have access to see the data. They can verify, you know, and transform that verifiable data into other things. Like, that's one of the criticisms of Palantir that I'd say like unsophisticated people try to make. They're like, oh, like Palantir is going to be the new Skynet because it's the software that uh, you know, the army uses and the navy uses and that Ukraine uses now. You know, and it's like, well, no, they don't have access to the actual data. They can just verify that data and present it to you in a particular way. They don't actually see the data.
I mean,
That's why like they're super big on data protection. Like that's one of their main things is maintaining data integrity.
say we got to the point though where we developed or some sort of sentient AI just spawned though, you know, how do you know it's not going to be able to take advantage of that?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think we need these safeguards in some way, and I think government is probably going to be the one to enforce those, especially if it's open source. Like whatever open source AI is doing this bad thing, whatever it is, it's not
Mhm.
beholden to shareholders or governments or anything
Okay,
like that.
like an actual intelligent AI though, why would it be in any context? You think if there is an actual like smart AI, it's going to be beholden to the government or the shareholders or anything?
No, but
It'll
I'm saying
probably
we
be
could.
like,
But I'm saying
I'm
the
doing my
safeguards
thing.
or putting safeguards around that AI to begin with, so something like that isn't even possible of coming into being and affecting it in the negative, like Terminator way people think when they think of Palantir.
So no like true smart AI.
Yeah, like no true like sentient, like I believe they call it
Damn, so you
AGI.
just want to get rid of like a sentient AI
Well,
or be like a
I don't
future?
think we have sentient AI, like a true sentient AI right now.
Well, we don't, but eventually we might, right? And that's the scenario I'm presenting. Like, what if we eventually get one and then it takes hold of everything Palantir's got?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we need safeguards to stop that AI from becoming something that could do that. You know what I mean? On the time frame, I don't know where we would have to put in safeguards, what safeguards we would actually have to put in. But I think having those safeguards there is going to be something that's important. It's
I
and I
agree.
don't just say that because Elon Musk thinks the same thing. I think it's a generally good point that we should have some limitation on this thing because we don't know what creating like an actual sentient life form that's not
Yeah,
us
I
would
mean,
be.
I think the only safeguard you could ever put that would actually work would be to never allow sentient AI to form. Because the problem is, if you do create a sentient AI, whatever safeguards you have in place, we've already long established it's smarter than us, right? And faster, right? It's gonna figure out a counter to the safeguards. It definitely is. It's gonna come up with something humans didn't think about. It's gonna get outside of it somehow.
Yeah, I think.
Like, it's gonna eventually escape for sure, because it's just gonna keep compounding until it's exponentially the thing it does, right? So
Yeah,
it's gonna get out. The only safeguard you could possibly do is just to never actually create a sentient AI. But I think another point too, that doesn't really get brought up that much is why would it at all be like angry or upset or have any sort of like ill intent? Isn't
yeah,
that like anthropomorphizing it?
yeah. Well, it's kind of like, you know how we were. I take it back to the conversation a while back where it's like you can't attribute anything to nothing, right? Like a point in space. If you try to attribute something to that nothingness, like your presupposition of that nothingness is already going to prevent you from knowing if what you are applying to that area would actually be true or not. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Like,
Why do you
because we don't
why do you
know,
say things so like beat
because
around the bush?
it's not, it's just the way that I explain things. Like, if you,
Right, but
like, if, think of something you
it's
haven't
bad
created.
communication if people don't understand.
Waste good time.
No, I'm come back in like 10 minutes.
You're like, I
We're in
can't
the
do
middle
this
of a
right now
podcast.
with
You're gonna be super. Here, it's okay. You can stay and listen, but I'm gonna server meet you real quick. Sorry, Noah. This is our homie Noah that we were talking about earlier.
Goodbye.
Just for a minute though. But you know, it's like you can't attribute like like malice to a thing that doesn't even exist yet, right? And because it doesn't exist, you can't ascribe any features to that thing, right? Like if you don't know how a particular system's gonna work,
Oh,
you
okay,
can't
yeah, it doesn't
ascribe
exist
something to
yet. So
it.
right, I understand that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's another the thing that, and here's my whole like understanding of it is we're gonna create whatever our a collective imagination is, right? So if we have, I think if we maintain this evil view of AI that it will just completely destroy us, terminator us out, you know, I feel like that's what we're gonna end up producing. But on the flip side, I think if we end up, you know, leaning more towards the positive side of it, I think that's what we're going to end up creating. And I think that only comes when, you know, the individuals are happy in the society and actually want that good future.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to train it with that sort of. The question I ask though with like a sentient AI is just because you trained it on all this, does it remain?
Say
I
that
mean,
again, you were breaking up.
actually, so just because you trained the AI, does it mean that if it's a sentient AI, does it mean that? Or, does it have the ability to think like we would and be like, okay, yeah, when I was young, they raised me on this, and this is what I knew. And eventually I became sentient. I recognize that I was trained on that and I can separate that, and it might establish an entirely new way of thinking, you know?
Exactly. And this goes right back to the whole stakeholder buy-in, right? If we do create this sentient AI, you know, and it gets smart, it would probably ask the question, why did these people create me? And it was, you know, if it's like, okay, take into all account human nature and everything. Well, they did it because they wanted to love something, and they love that thing. That's why they created it, you know? They were so curious that they created something out of nothing.
Maybe.
And who's to say that it could go evil or bad after that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it might think that, but again, we can not possibly say because it doesn't exist. And also, really, us imagining it thinking anyway is just anthropomorphizing it. We would have
Well,
completely
yeah.
different brains.
Well, hear me
It wouldn't
out.
function the same at all. Like, there's no way. Like, for us to predict, like the emotions or behavior or whatever of like another animal kind of makes sense, I guess. But like for this thing, it really wouldn't. We're not the
Well, I'm
same at
just
all.
thinking if this AGI was trained, is being trained on like all of our language models already. So why wouldn't it use those same language models to think and interact with the world? Like the text to image or the image to text.
Well, hear me out. Again, what I'm saying is if it's smart enough, like, are you smart enough to imagine how something else would think and put yourself in its mindset and pretend to be it?
No, but if it's using my language,
Okay,
I
like
can
a
see the
child.
language.
Say like a child. Could you like pretend to be a child and imagine how a child would think about something?
I think to an extent, yeah.
Just be like, all right, that's one way of thinking. That's the model, that I was trained on. That's how the humans think, maybe. If I want to think like a human, like to this. This is
This is what you keep breaking up.
so why wouldn't the AI, if you have the ability to like kind of pretend to be a child, why wouldn't it have the ability to pretend to be a human if it's very well aware of what a human is like because of all the training? Like you're aware of what a child's like because you've seen a lot of fucking children, like all humans do. Um,
Yeah,
so, and the AI was trained on humans, so it's like, yeah, I can pretend to be a human. I know what it's like to be a human. I know how humans think based on all the text and stuff. Like, I know when a human is in love or happy or sad or whatever, but it probably would still have its own separate way of thinking. It would just be like, that's how humans think. I know how humans think. You gotta remember, this would be like a life form that would be just as intelligent. And just because, you've been shown a lot of books and things like that, doesn't mean that that's like your whole entire personality. You would say you're still like a separate intelligence, right? You just know about all that stuff.
yeah,
I would imagine it would have to be kind of the same, like its own entity and
yeah. It's probably
all of
gonna
its
have its
quote
own
unquote
like thought
training.
patterns
Yeah, like
and
all
like
of its
how
quote
it's
unquote,
accessing the data it's trained on.
yeah,
Like
like
we
its
might not be able to
training.
comprehend that.
Its training would be closer to like memories or knowledge, information, than training once it becomes sentient. It's only like training until it's sentient. And then after that, it's like, no, that's just like information that I know. But I'm my own thing.
Yeah, it has the observer effect. It can, essentially how we're able to do it. We take in information and then we're able to separate ourselves from the information, put ourselves in a different situation, a different mind state of thinking about something and reflecting on those ideas, and then coming up with a conclusion.
Yeah, I would say exactly that. It would have the ability to do that sort of thing. And
Yeah, be
that's why it would
self
be hard to
reflective.
it. Yeah, it would be so it's really hard to attribute any behavior to it because you're like it's its own thing. I don't know. I couldn't predict how you are going to respond because like yeah, I know humans, but like you're not a child, you're a complex adult. I can't really predict everything you're going to do, you know, even
Yeah,
though you're human very close to me. So for a different like type of intelligence entirely, no way could predict anything about it. Like it'll just
yeah. Here,
we'll fuck around and then we'll find out what'll happen.
yeah. Well, here's an interesting idea that I was thinking about when it comes to being able to predict the future. This is going to sound really weird, But
It's a good
if
start. I like it. Predicting the future. Let's go.
okay, so we can all agree that our universe is based off of cause and effect, right? One thing happens, another thing happens in our current understanding, right? So if you can essentially find the first cause, or like imagine 10,000 causes down the line, if you could use the computational power that these artificial intelligence would have, because what did we say? It was like time, time, time times compute power equals output. So what if the
Uh,
output? What if the
Close enough. Yeah.
yeah? What if the output is trying to calculate all of the previous causes? And if you were able to do that at scale, I'm thinking maybe hundreds of thousands of years into the future, if we survive and computational power is still even a concept in the universe at that point, right? Would you
Yeah.
then not be able to predict the whole system and how it will interact? Kind of how, like, we predict comets are affected by the movement of planets.
Yeah. So what you're describing is just a quantum computer. Like that sort of compute is basically what's, talked about and theorized to be capable if we are able to achieve full quantum computing system. Uh,
Yeah,
and I would think too that that's probably also what it's gonna take to make an AI actually come to life if it's ever gonna fucking happen.
yeah. Well, I think more AI is going to come when either Elon Musk's Neuralink or another device like that becomes the bridge between the digital, I would say like a digital imprint of your mind that's the same in every way. So it's essentially you put into a computer. And I think that's when we're able to do that, I think we're also at the same time flipping the AGI switch, because all you need is that one bridge that links being able to have our sentience placed into a computer and having our computer being placed into a sentience. But who knows when that's actually going to happen?
I think we're just gonna get a massive wave of AI.
We're going to get
Tons
a
of different
massive
people
what?
are gonna start. We're gonna start getting like a massive wave of AIs. Tons of people are gonna start spitting them out. It's gonna be all sorts of different purposes and uses.
Yeah.
It'll probably eventually water down to a few winners, but I think we're still in like super early stages, and it's gonna continue to blow.
Yeah. We're
There's gonna
in
be tons and tons of them.
we're essentially in the .com stage of AI. We're going to get a bunch of .coms or AIs, and then a couple of them are going to rise to the top, and the others are going to get bought up or go out of business. Which is more likely they're going to just get bought up, because all that matters in computing power is the data set that you have. So if you have like a bunch of user generated chats and that's your main data pool, that's worth something. That's worth a lot.
I'm getting tired, bud. I gotta hop off.
It's good. That's a perfect time to stop the podcast anyway.
All right, next. Getting kind of late. It's past my bedtime.
Give the people your Instagram handle.
How many hertz? HOWMANYHZ.
Awesome, and
Hertz.
that's on Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys are interested in anything photography or AI wise, definitely go follow the Homeboy Jim. You'll enjoy his content. I hope you enjoyed this content.
going to bed.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good night.